Today, we're diving into a really beautiful and kind of weird story from ancient China. It's all about three mysterious guys who taught one of the most powerful lessons about life. And get this, they did it without ever saying a single word. And it all really boils down to this one simple question. What if everything we're so serious about, everything we worry about, what if the big secret to it all wasn't some complicated philosophy, but was actually just one big cosmic joke?
So let's meet our main characters. They're known only as the Three Laughing Monks. Nobody knew their names or where they came from. They were complete mysteries. But what they did, well, that was unforgettable.
See, here's what made them so different. They weren't trying to build a temple or write down some sacred text. Nope, their only purpose, their entire mission, was to just walk from one town to the next and laugh. That's it.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, how is just laughing a teaching? Well, these monks had a really unique way of spreading their message of joy, and it spread like wildfire across China, all without a single word being spoken.
Their method was so simple, it was genius. They'd just show up in a town, find the busiest spot, like a marketplace, and just start laughing. You can imagine, at first, people were probably confused, right? But their laughter was so real, so deep and infectious, that pretty soon a few people would start to giggle, and then a few more, until the entire village was just roaring with laughter. And then, just like that, they'd pack up and head to the next town.
And that simple act, that was their entire philosophy. For the Three Laughing Monks, laughter wasn't just, a reaction to a good joke. It was everything. It was their form of prayer. It was their only sermon. It was their way of showing the world that life, with all its ups and downs, is really just a fantastic opportunity to have a good laugh. So for years and years, this is what they did. They walked around China just spreading pure joy. But any philosophy, especially one built on something as light as laughter, is bound to be tested. And their test? Well, it was the biggest one you could imagine.
Yep. While they were visiting a village, one of the three monks passed away. Just like that, their joyful trio was broken.
Of course, the news spread like crazy. The villagers all gathered around. They were absolutely sure this was it. This had to be the end of the laughter. I mean, their friend just died. Surely now they would finally cry. Now they would mourn like everyone else.
But what the villagers saw next, it didn't make any sense. The two monks who were left, they weren't crying. They were laughing. Not just laughing, but laughing harder and with more joy than anyone had ever seen before. They were celebrating. The villagers were so confused, they actually went up to the monks and asked them for the first time, "Why? Why are you laughing?"
And right there, in that moment of confusion, the final piece of their philosophy, the ultimate punchline to their cosmic joke, was about to be revealed. For the first time ever, one of the monks actually spoke. He explained that just the day before, they'd all made a little bet on who would be the first to die. And our friend won. He just roared with laughter. To them, death wasn't a tragedy. It was just the hilarious end to a friendly competition. He won the game. But wait, it gets even better. It turns out the monk who died had left a will, and in it he had one very specific, very unusual request for his own funeral. So the tradition at the time was to wash the body and change the clothes before cremation. But in his will, he said, don't do it. Why? Because, as he put it, he was never dirty. He said his constant laughter had acted like a shield, and that none of the filth of this world, all the sadness, the anger, the fear, had ever been able to touch him. So the villagers honored his wish. They placed his body, just as he was, onto the funeral pyre. But that old monk, he had one last practical joke, one final lesson up his sleeve for everybody.
As soon as the pyre was lit and the flames began to rise, boom! Fireworks just exploded out of his robes. The sky was filled with 100 different colors, shooting up, down, and in every direction. The old man had stuffed his clothes with fireworks before he died. He turned his own funeral into a spectacular celebration.
And in that moment, seeing a funeral pyre turn into a fireworks show, the entire village finally got it. They got the joke. They understood that life, and even death, can be a reason to celebrate. All their sadness just melted away, and they joined the other two monks in this huge, deep, liberating laugh. The lesson from this old story is so powerful. It's this idea that joy isn't just a reward for having a good life. Joy is the point.
It's the thing that actually makes you feel alive. It's a choice you can make, a perspective that can literally shield you from the world's negativity. So, that brings us to the final question, a question for you. Think about what's going on in your life right now. Taking a page from the three laughing monks, is there a problem, maybe a big one, maybe a small one, that you could decide to face not with worry, but with a laugh?